Hello and welcome to Cholangio Heroes, a video podcast produced by the Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation. I'm Jennifer Weaver, the Director of Communications for the Foundation, and I will be hosting this episode today. Joining me is Representative Cindy Abrams. I'm really thrilled to have her join us on this podcast to talk about her connection to the disease and why she did something legislative to bring more awareness to cholangiocarcinoma. So welcome, Representative Abrams.
Hello, thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad to have you too. And I guess that's my first question. Basically, how are you connected to the disease?
So my dear friend and former colleague, Lieutenant Steve Wilger, he served on the Cincinnati Police Department. I also served on the Cincinnati Police Department years ago. And so he was retired and of course, very much active and involved with the FOP in the community. So we stayed in touch. And so when he was diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma, again, we were all just completely shocked, right? Because one day everything's fine and the next day you clearly received this diagnosis. And so, again, started treatment and he started, coming up to Columbus for different treatments and whatnot back and forth. And as you know, that's where our state house is and that's where I serve. And I live here in Cincinnati. And so his daughter, Becky, actually reached out to my office and said, hey, do you think you could get a proclamation or something, from the Ohio House? Okay. So then I started thinking about it and I thought, it's okay to recognize a month or a day once a year, one time this year only. But then I got to thinking why would we not make it permanent? I mean, this is something that, it's a rare cancer. Why would we not want to bring as much awareness as we possibly can to it? So I said, well, I'm happy to do that, but can I go one step further and just make it permanent law? And she goes, okay. So of course, Lieutenant Wilger at the time, Steve said, well, that would be great. Are you serious? Yes. And so we went through the process. And of course, usually how a bill becomes a law, as you know, is not a quick process. But in this case, it really truly was because, as you know, there's no opponents. It's nothing but positive, education and just reinforcing the listen to your body and the signs that your body's giving you. So, and it went from the House unanimously out to the Senate, same process over there through committee and onto the Senate floor, and unanimous support, both chambers up to the governor. So it was my honor to sponsor that bill, and now it's law.
And I can't even tell you how excited and thrilled and happy we are that it is, because we're hoping other states will follow suit. Because as you mentioned, it may be a rare cancer, but right now there's not early detection. And so you mentioned something about listening to your body that I think is really important, because the symptoms of cholangiocarcinoma mimic other diseases and other medical conditions. So it's like itchy skin and yellow eyes, body aches, fever, things like that people might just go by the wayside. But unfortunately, this disease isn't really caught until the later stage when it's really, really serious. And then there's a poor prognosis. I'm really glad to hear that Steve was able to give his input. Can you tell me a little bit? You said that you worked with, were in the Fraternal Order of Police and worked with police. Can you tell me just a little bit about that relationship? Because it must have been special enough for you to go, I'm going to take this and make this a bill.
Yes. So Steve and his wife, Marianne, his daughter, Becky, again, once you serve, as you know, the first responder family, it truly is a family. And so, once you serve with someone and you get to know them, and whether you know their family or not, through the job, you're all family, truly. And so when they reached out to ask me this, it's like, well, again, why would I not just make it permanent law and really go the extra mile, so to speak, to do that? It made sense to me. And that's just my nature anyway. I typically go the extra mile all the time, just by my nature. But again, Marianne and Becky really, stuck with it and everything. Even after Steve passed away, we were able to invite both Marianne and Becky, and then one of Steve's dear friends, his name was also Steve, up to the State House when the governor signed the bill into law. So it was just a very emotional, exciting time. But again, we got it over the finish line, and together as a team, we were able to get it done. So
So House Bill 537, I believe, recognizes Cholangiocarcinoma Awareness Month, or was it day? You have to correct me. I can't remember.
It's February 12th day, but I say the
Mm.
whole month. It is what it is. So I say the whole year, really. So,
Oh, yes.
but
I
yes,
like that
that's right.
attitude for
Every day.
sure.
That's right. Yeah.
When did
Well, again,
Steve, where in the process were you when Steve passed away? Because I'm sure that must have also been emotional, knowing that this was in his honor, so to speak. He was the inspiration for it.
yes, it was over in the Senate when he passed away. So he did see it come out of the House, and he was excited to. They watched my floor speech on the House floor, and he was just like, "This is such an honor to, you know, again, because I told the story and, mentioned that my dear friend and former colleague, Steve Wilger, and then it went to the Senate, same thing in my sponsor testimony in the Senate. And then, like I said, when it came to the floor there, he had already passed away, but, we all know he's with us at all times. So,
Oh, yeah, and I completely agree with you too. A loss may just be here, in this world, but I think we feel them and their support, those that we love who've passed on. So I was, just wondering, now that we have this day, do you see anything else coming into Ohio, or what would your hope be now that this bill has passed and is law?
mhm.
What would your hope be that it sparks more involvement, engagement, interactivity from your Ohio constituents?
So during the committee process, what I noticed from some members, they would ask, some asked during committee, during the actual committee hearing, they would ask questions like, do you believe that this is going to help raise awareness and kind of get the word out there? Again, signs and symptoms, like you said, it mimics other issues, right? And sometimes it can go just unnoticed, or let's face it, we're all tired, right? Every day we're running around, and it's just the nature, I think, of all of our lifestyles. I don't know anybody actually that says that they're not tired in a day at some point during each day. But honestly, I do truly believe that this is going to raise awareness and that people are going to stop and kind of think, okay, and maybe go to their doctor and during that yearly physical, hopefully, if they're going in for that, it's to have the conversation. Hey, I might, I'm having, these aches and pains and fevers every once in a while, and like you said, the yellow eyes and
Mhm.
whatnot. You have to really kind of press it and have that one-on-one conversation with your doctor. So my hope is, again, to partner with, now it is law, here it is. We're raising awareness, not just with the foundation, but of course here in Ohio and all of the physicians and whatnot, again, the James, to really partner with them and say, hey, keep raising awareness to this, because I believe, look at how far we've come just in general with cancers in general over the years. In the last 30 years, we've come a long way. So,
Yeah, very true. And I think you're helping it to where we can advance those efforts even further. So I would just, wonder if you had something to say to another lawmaker about potentially sponsoring a bill, what would your recommendations be?
well, my recommendations would be, again, why not make it into law, and raise awareness that way? Take it through the whole committee process, put it on the books. I mean, if we save one life, that's worth it to me, or if, again, it's caught early enough where the treatment, once we get down the road of, research and development and all of that, maybe the treatment's going to be there, hopefully sooner than we think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's a great opportunity on every February 12th to let people know that, like you mentioned, if you're going in for an annual physical, it doesn't hurt to have the conversation with your doctor. And that if a diagnosis results, that it's okay to get a second opinion. It's definitely okay to ask for biomarker testing and see if there's treatment options or if you can qualify for clinical trials. So I like the message that you're sending and that you're able to share that with other lawmakers too, because we're definitely hoping that every state in the union this year will help us with cholangiocarcinoma awareness month, light buildings green, and just so show that support. Is that something that maybe you could help with, is with buildings being lit green in February?
Well, that's exciting. I'll tell you, we locally here in Cincinnati, there were quite a few buildings being lit green, and I will say I'm thrilled that Ohio is the first state to make this officially law, and I hope that the other states follow next year. So
I agree. I just want to end with asking you to share a memory that you may have of Steve. I think it's always, touching for people to realize a bill really is supported on the shoulders of somebody's life that made a difference. And so if you wouldn't mind giving us just a little bit of Steve's influence with you, your relationship, to humanize this whole thing a little bit, because he deserves it. He was a great man.
he does deserve it. He was a great man, and I think what in one sentence, if I can sum it up that quickly, which is it's always very hard for me to do because obviously that's not my personality. I like multiple sentences typically and describe things. But, you know, Steve was always around, very supportive, lending a hand. Like I said, after retirement with the FOP, he was just everywhere. Whether it be at the picnic or at the at the hall, with the monthly meetings and whatnot. As a candidate, the whole endorsement process, where you go in and talk to the whole panel and they give you the nod whether they're going to endorse you for your upcoming election. I mean, again, always there to lend a hand, always very supportive, and the smile and just to light up the room. He was just a great man. Just again, funny, no nonsense. Uh, Again, lit up the room with a smile. So
Oh,
that's my
that's
best
wonderful,
memory.
and thank you for giving that tribute to him. I'm wondering, so if somebody out there is watching or listening and they're a lawmaker and they wanna see what your bill is there a way that they can take a look at it somewhere?
Yes, you can go to ohiohouse.gov and just click on search legislation, and they can search until their heart is content and what we're doing in the state of Ohio.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you again for joining us for this episode. I'm very grateful that you were able to pass legislation. It sets a precedent that I'm really hoping other states will follow. And it is amazing that Ohio is leading the charge. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You have a great day. And everyone else there, please join us for next week for a new episode of Cholangio Heroes.